My favorite one to record was Remy in Ratatouille because I got to go to Pixar. And in a similar one, Professor Dementor on Kim Possible, when I would do that, we had to do that early in the morning and not book any more voiceover for the rest of the day because it would just rip my vocal cords out.
Now slap those hands together and give a cheer, a whoop and a cheer for the wonderful Patton Oswalt! Keep it going, you guys! Please, welcome to my living room. How are you doing?
I'm very confused, and this is weird and surreal.
It is.
Not really sure what this is, but let's just go with it.
I went overboard with the lighting on my living room.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. Basically, we look like we're sitting on a movie set for a weird Hungarian science fiction film from 1981.
Yeah, Hungarian Tron.
Yes, Hungarian Tron. Exactly. Yeah.
Hungarian Tron.
Yeah.
I guess this is not your first time in London.
No, I've been here a bunch of times. I was here last summer, 2 summers ago, shooting Ghostbusters. I've been here. I've toured with Amy Mann and Michael Penn doing shows here. I've done weeks at the Soho Theater. I love this city. I'm very, very happy being here right now.
Are we happy to have him here? Yeah.
That didn't sound very enthusiastic.
Is that bear?
Don't take me seriously, guys. I'm jet lagged and I'm full of snack food, so don't take anything I say today seriously.
I came over from LA on Tuesday. I was you 5
really?
days ago. Yeah.
Just out of your mind.
I didn't know where I was or who I was.
Yeah, okay.
What is life? I just didn't understand where I was.
Yeah.
We all know that you're a massive nerd, of course. So do you get a chance to go on the show floor at all?
A little bit, but I've been, I have a comic book as well called Minor Threat, so I'm over in Artist Alley signing that. I'm seeing a lot of the cosplay, and the cosplay here is top-notch.
Yeah.
It feels very, very homemade and passionate, where it has that feeling from the 70s and 80s when people would freeze frame movies and TV shows to get every little detail and little sprocket from the costume. I love that. So as much as I'm enjoying seeing the comic books that I want to buy, just looking at the costumes walking by is fantastic.
I can't go to the comic book bit because I will buy too much stuff.
I'll buy too much stuff. And luckily, being in London, because I have to fly back on Tuesday, I can only buy so much stuff. I can't load that much stuff into my bag. So I have that restriction on me, which is good.
What were your go-to comics as a kid then? Let's talk comics for a bit.
Well, I didn't think of them as comics. I'm sure a lot of you had that experience when you were a little kid. It wasn't that I'm reading Marvel or DC. I just liked the characters that I like. So it was anything Spider-Man, and then when I was older, it was anything Wolverine, and then anything Batman. And by the time I got to college, that's when Vertigo comics were exploding. So it was all Swamp Thing and the Invisibles and Sandman and anything in that area. So I was always following characters, and then I was following writers.
Yes, when I was younger, it was Jim Lee's X-Men.
Okay.
Spider-Man, of course. Loved Spider-Man. And then when I was in my late 20s, which is a while ago, I discovered Image.
Yep.
And absolutely loved Image. So let's talk about your comic. Tell us a little bit about it.
It's a comic that I co-wrote with Jordan Blum, who worked on American Dad and Community, and basically it's about a series of D-level supervillains. And I mean, these are the kind of supervillains that are just like, I want to use my weird powers to rob a bank, make a little bit of money, enjoy life, and then I'll rob another one. But in their world, an A-level supervillain kills an A-level superhero's sidekick. So the superheroes come down like a ton of bricks on the low-level people trying to find him. And the low-level people decide, we can't live our lives anymore because of this A-list idiot that just killed this kid for no reason because he's insane. So why don't we can capture him, hand him over to the heroes, get a little credit in the favor bank, and go back to our lives. So it very much has that cool kind of street level noir feeling, but also we wear our influences on our sleeves. It's very much Top 10, Astro City, Suicide Squad. I love low level, low stakes villains and what their lives are like. I can't get enough of them.
Oh my
Astro
God.
City's the best.
It's so the best. When I discovered Astro City, I was like, okay, everything's just stopping.
Yes.
It was so good. And I've watched quite a few interviews with you where you talk about the idea of villains and heroes changing through the years, which I think is interesting. And
yeah, I read this really interesting thing where somebody pointed out how back in the 30s, when comic books were starting off, villains were always drawn like this, like hunched over and tormented and dark, and the heroes were all upright and triangular and muscular and sure of their purpose. And as the years have gone by, it's the heroes that are now drawn crouched down and tormented and full of darkness, and the heroes are all these psychotic, just completely sure of themselves, which is kind of what's happening in real life in ways. It's like the worst, and sometimes it's the worst people who have the most confidence because they don't have self-doubt or they don't wonder about their actions, and it's the best people that are full of torment and doubt and second thoughts. So that's kind of being reflected now, I think, in comics.
when I grew up in the 80s watching movies as well, I watched a lot of corporate villains like Verhoeven, those kind of movies as well. They were always like corporate baddies behind a desk.
Well, it was always it's not someone who's desperate and broke and hungry who's gotten a cheap gun and is robbing someone. It's the person who's in control that makes the system that way, that forces someone to have to live like that. So that's but again, those are also the hardest people to take down because as evil as they are, they also, what they offer is comfort and the sameness. Like, well, the system is awful, but at least you know what the system is. Mm-hmm. Whereas everyone for himself, anarchy and freedom is scary to a lot of people, it seems. And we kind of explore that in Minor Threats as well. Like, what they're upset about, they're not upset that some kid got killed, some sidekick got killed. They are upset that there was a pecking order. We knew where we were in this thing, and this guy just upset it for us, and now they're angry about that.
Do you think it's going to come back round, though, Patton, where you'll see the heroes standing up straight again? Do you think we're just going through this chapter at the moment?
If the heroes are going to stand up straight again and be sure, it has to start from the bottom up. It has to start from somebody making things better for people that maybe aren't as advantaged or don't have enough power. If a hero feels like they're living in a more just world, then they can act in a more just, sure way. But if you truly are a hero and you truly are wired into what's going on in the world, you're going to be, someone pointed out, if you're depressed and exhausted right now, that actually means you're mentally healthy because you're paying attention to what's going on.
Yes.
Like, it's the people that are totally like, things are great, those are the people that need to be on some pills.
And you're totally right.
Yeah.
In terms of, I guess, life imitating art, as we're touching upon here, as a writer, do you feel a responsibility in terms of your writing that someone might read that, be influenced enough to then, I guess, change their views, opinions in life?
I mean, I hope that I'm doing something for the better, but I think when you read anyone's writing or you look at anything creative, what you're looking at is the result of somebody else being influenced by art and writing. So if you're influenced by it or you get a different point of view, you're just part of the chain of influence that's actually been going on for a while. If you read a comic book now by someone like Dennis Camp, but that guy was influenced by maybe Alan Moore. Alan Moore was influenced. So you see the line of influence and jump in the line, like let yourself be influenced and then see who you end up influencing.
I often think about that when I'm writing music, or when I'm writing my stand-up, I'm like, no, that's, and it actually frustrates me because I don't want to sound
Well,
like my
okay,
influence.
yes, I have that. That's called the anxiety of influence.
Yes.
And there's a podcast that I'm listening to right now called A History of Rock and Roll in 500 Songs.
Oh,
Does anyone listen to this podcast? It's by an Englishman named Andrew Hickey, who I took to lunch the other day, and he charts the evolution of rock starting in 1939. It's a Benny Good. Each episode is a song. And what you realize is everything is a cover song. Everything was influenced by what came before. So get over that fear. Let yourself be influenced, but then let yourself, if someone opens a door, go through the door. Don't just stand in the door. So the doors that like a Chuck Berry opened, then the Beatles went through that door, and then Hendrix went through that door, and then so let yourself be influenced. That's the best way to pay tribute to someone that you love. Let yourself be influenced by them, and then take it to the next step.
true. And I think at one point, I might sit with my guitar, sit with a pen and paper and think, I just want to enjoy it,
That's the other thing too. If there's any artists, filmmakers, writers out there, you have to, and listen, I'm only saying this because I forget this all the time. Art, comedy, music, that was stuff that people used to do for fun in the middle of a pretty horrible life, which involved having to grow your own food, having to hunt your own meat, having to make your own clothes. You did art to blow off steam. So don't lose. Yes, it's been very much commodified, and there's money to be made in art now, but don't forget that the basis of it is people having fun and blowing off steam. I think the best art comes out of that relief, like, oh no, I don't have to do art, I get to do art. I get to do this.
I went back to stand-up, it was maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. I did a little club in Glendale. There was hardly any people there, but it was fun.
I just did shows in Montana and Wyoming, and there were some nights that the theater was not full, but the ones that show up, if it's a smaller crowd, sometimes they're there in defiance of nobody going out to see anything, and you'll end up getting a way better crowd because they're so wired into it. Remember that footage of the Sex Pistols when they did that charity show for the children of firefighters? I think it was up in like North England, and Johnny Rotten was saying that was the best show we ever did.
Yeah.
The kids and the parents were so into it and so wired, and they were throwing cake at us, and we were throwing cake back at them, and they were just dancing. It goes, I've never had a show better than that. This tiny little benefit that we did is one of the best shows we ever did. And there are nights that as a stand-up where I have been in front of 20 people, and it's been one of the best sets.
Yeah.
Also, you never do better work than on nights when it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like when if you're in some big theater, or there's producers there, or there's celebrities there, or it's a huge venue, you're like, this had better go great.
I know.
But if it's a Thursday night and there's 25 people in an open mic, you're so loose, and you can just mess around, and you do the best stuff. Do the best stuff.
Seeing like one daft person at the front going,
Yeah.
like loving that.
I just realized something. There's a lot of times, some of the best issues of a comic book happen when the writers and artists see that it's not selling any copies, like it's just not clicking, so they go, well, we can just do whatever we want because no one's reading this. And there was a run on Aquaman in the 80s, and it was one of those runs where they were trying to revive Aquaman and nobody wanted it, and it wasn't selling, so the writers started doing all this genuinely brilliant, weird stuff, not just with the character, but with the world.
Yeah.
They were doing it, and now it's like held up as one of the, I forgot who the writer and artist was, but now it's held up as like one of the most groundbreaking runs because nobody was reading it. They're like, the editors don't even care. We can do whatever we want, and you end up getting to do amazing stuff.
Speaking of doing amazing stuff, not caring, I'm speaking to Kristen Shaw next week.
Really?
In Dallas.
You're going to Dallas?
Yes.
I love Kristen.
And this will be my first time speaking to Kristen. you worked on the show The Heart, She-Holler.
Yes.
I don't know if you guys have seen this show. It's got a Garth Marenghi's Dark Place spirit to it. It's kind of chaotic.
Imagine Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, but with way more body fluid. Like just a lot. We were always covered in goo and liquids and slime. Yeah.
Was it fun working on something that is just so ridiculous and out there, and there's no real, well, there's structure, but it feels unstructured?
Working at Adult Swim, where you had no budget, and it was going to be shown at 2 a.m, and the episodes were only 20 minutes long, and yeah, we were allowed to do whatever we wanted, and because of that, again, we ended up filming some genuinely, like, visually startling stuff that people still come up to me and go, the scene where there's another actress in the film that basically, for some reason, she comes out of a pie. Again, the movie, the show made no sense in terms of physics or logic, but she comes out of a pie and then she's just covered in cherry syrup for basically the end of the episode, and it is so, and you can see how uncomfortable and weirded out she is, which actually adds to the scene, so there was always stuff like that.
I love that. I think we need things like that in culture that are chaotic and they push you visually and mentally. We need that.
Well, also let artists, just let them alone, and then and then see what they bring to you, rather than, nothing is worse, and it's what happened to a lot of the Marvel movies near the end, although the Thunderbolts seem to be kind of a cure for that.
Yeah.
They so had in their minds, like, people want to see this and this and this. Nobody knows what they want to see until they see it done well.
It's too formulaic.
Exactly. So do whatever you think is the best, and people will always rise to the occasion. But the one thing that will always turn people off and drive them away from you is when they feel like you're going, oh, you little lamb, let me give you something that you can digest and enjoy. I know what you want to hear, so here it is. People hate that. What they love to see is not only are they surprised, they want to feel like the creator was surprised doing what they were doing, like, oh my God, we're really doing this? Like that always locks people in. Always try to surprise yourself, and always assume the audience is not only way smarter than you, but will rise to whatever weirdness you will put out there. And if you've been on the internet for the last 10 years, you should be assured that people are fucking weird. They are weirder than you think they are. You are allowed to be as weird as you want.
Can we have a scream if you're a weirdo?
Yeah, by the way, all of you should have screamed.
I know.
Everyone are weirdos. It's okay.
It's okay.
We all have weird stuff.
Guys,
So,
scream
yeah.
again if you're a weirdo. Let's hear you.
The entire room.
That's it. I love it. I love being a freak. I don't care anymore. Okay, let's get to fan questions.
By the way, you are so dressed for this set right now, and I look like the guy that is here to repair the set if somebody like vomits on the white leather, like I'm the guy that comes out and washes it.
No, you've got hues of blue, and there's some blue.
Okay, yeah, that's true. All right.
You're looking good. It's fine.
The denim against the white Italian leather is a little weird.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
A little weird.
It's giving kind of maybe accidental mafia boss.
Thank you, yes.
Like you were maybe fixing the toilets and he wasn't there that day.
I'll take it.
I'm sorry,
I'll take that.
Pat.
That's great.
Oh my God, never insult your guests. I'm sorry, Pat.
No.
Guys, please can we get some fan questions going? There's a mic there and there's a mic there. Please don't be shy. And let's get going with the fan questions.
Wow,
Go for it.
By the way, I don't know, I know you guys didn't just see this. The way that you just emerged into the light to ask, that was so friggin' cinematic. Wow. I'm just letting you know, if you do ask a question, there is a moment you will emerge into the light like you're a hitman in a John Woo film. So take advantage to look cinematic.
Please make sure you brought your doves.
Yes. Nicely done. Okay, which way are we going to start? There?
Where do you want to start? You're the
We'll
guest.
start there because he stepped forward first.
Hi, what's your name, my friend?
Hi, my name's Theo. Hi, it's really nice to meet you, Patton.
Great meeting you.
Thanks. So I just want to ask, which comic book inspired you to create Minor Threats?
Which comic inspired you to?
The big one for me is the run on Suicide Squad back in the 80s, John Ostrander. There's a very specific panel that kind of scarred me for life and made me want to do the kind of comics I do, where Captain Boomerang is kind of moonlighting as a hero, as a criminal at night, and he has to change back into his Captain Boomerang uniform and get back into Belle Reve. And there's a panel, he's in his apartment, and in the closet are all these extra Captain Boomerang outfits hanging on hangers. And that little detail of, oh yeah, he'd have to have more than one uniform to be ready, and if there's multiple ones on hangers, it means there is a day where Captain Boomerang, probably in his civilian clothes, is at a laundromat making sure these things are washed and going, I gotta separate the darks from the whites, I don't want them to bleed in. Like, I love all of the little human, the human drudgery to superheroes. I'll never get tired of that. I love that. So that one panel is a huge influence on me.
Thank you. Good question.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's go over here.
Whoa!
Whoa!
He just
What's your name?
Hi, my name is Ian.
Hi, Ian.
Thank you. I was interested.
Wait a minute. Someone in Britain named Ian?
Oh,
That's
yes.
wow. That's weird. All right, go ahead.
Okay. The middle name is McFarlane, if that helps. The question was, now you've got your comic book, are you now much more in control of the whole production than you were, say, as the voice of Remy?
Yes, comic books is a wonderfully dictatorial post where basically, because there's not massive amounts of money being spent, and we're working at Dark Horse where it's all creator owned, and if you're willing to go and promote it and get it out on social media, you really can control every aspect, not just of the comic itself. We have spin-off books that other writers have pitched us, and we get to go, well, no, that's actually not part of canon. You gotta so you really get to shape and control a world. But I try not to get too precious about that. I like, again, what I said earlier, I like being surprised and shocked when somebody brings me an aspect of my world that I hadn't thought of. There's a spin-off book called The Brood by a guy named Heath Corson, and he expanded our world in a way that we weren't expecting, and we ended up being delighted with.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you.
Thanks, Ian.
Thank you. Hello, my love.
Hello.
What's your name?
My name's Rachel, so hi to the both of you.
Rachel, go
Rachel.
right to the mic so we
Right
can
to the
hear
mic.
you.
Oh, sorry. No, my name's Rachel. Hello to the both of you. Hello, Wee Claire. Hello, Patton Oswalt.
Hi.
I've seen you in so many things. It's just amazing.
Thank you.
BoJack Horseman, I absolutely miss it to bits. I know you voiced several, obviously the Penguin in it. There's like several others. I can't remember the names right now.
I think there were like 13 of them. I can't remember.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was
but
crazy.
No. Sorry.
That's okay.
What was your favourite Pinky the Penguin line? If you can, don't worry if you can't remember.
My favorite,
What your favorite what line?
Pinky the Penguin. You know the Penguin, the publisher one. Sorry.
Pinky Penguin, my favorite line of his, there's an episode where there's I think it's either a cat or a bird. She's a TV executive who's been in a coma for 3 decades, and she's out of the coma and is pitching these shows, and they're all terrible because she's not current on things. And there's a great moment where she goes, I have an idea for a show where David Copperfield makes the World Trade Center disappear for a special. And then Pinky Penguin says, look, I know you've been in a coma for 30 years, but David Copperfield really doesn't get ratings anymore. Like that's his only concern for the show, is that David Copperfield isn't popular anymore. So that was, when they sent me that script and I read that line, I was like, oh my God, that's one of the funniest things I've ever read. So that was my fave.
Anyway,
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Rachel.
my dear.
Yeah.
Let's go over to the spotlight. Hello, my love. What's your name?
Whoever is doing these lights, this is fantastic. Vroom. Hi.
Hi, I'm Emmy. You've had a lot of animated roles. I was wondering, what was your favorite to record, and what was one that was particularly taxing?
Well, my favorite one to record was Remy, in Ratatouille, because I got to go to Pixar. Like, you go to Pixar, and if you've never toured the Pixar campus, it is like Willy Wonka, but without children being in danger. It's just incredible. And getting to work with Brad Bird, like getting to watch a genius craft a story. So there was every single bonus that you could have on a job would be there. The two most taxing ones, I do a recurring character on it's called like Mickey's Roadsters or something. It's like a race thing, and I play a guy named Mr. McSnorter who's a pig, and I got to do these big inhaling snorts, and it really rips my throat to shreds. And in a similar one, Professor Dementor on Kim Possible, when I would do that, we had to do that early in the morning and not book any more voiceover for the rest of the day because it would just rip my vocal cords out. So that was that answer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
very
you so
welcome.
much, my dear. Over here. You have been illuminated.
I feel like I'm summoning them. This is amazing.
What's your name, my love?
Daniel.
Hi, Daniel.
Straight into the mic, my friend.
Yeah, into the mic.
Oh, okay. I grew up playing Minecraft story mode since like when I first got the Xbox One, and just a curious thought: if Warner Brothers would cast you to be part of the future Minecraft movies, what would you think of it?
I'd love it. Those movies are a ton of fun. I'd love to be in a Minecraft movie. Also, I mean, I've been friends with Jack Black forever, so getting to do a project with him would be an absolute treat. Absolutely, I would do that.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, man.
Illumination? I'm trying to think of it. Hello there.
Hello.
What's your name, my
I'm
friend?
Sophia. I'm a huge fan of Ratatouille, by the way. It's my favorite Pixar
Oh,
film.
thank you, Sophia.
I was just wondering, what's been the highlight of your career?
Oh, God. I mean, it depends on what day you ask me. Obviously, Ratatouille was a huge highlight of my career. There was a movie that I did called Young Adult with Charlize Theron, and getting to do scenes with her. She's, I think, the best actor alive in terms of being able to go immediately deep into a character and then snap back to herself and then go back. Like, I've never been more on my toes in a scene working with someone of that caliber. It really does, like, it was that thing, like, if you want to get better at your game, you play with people that are way better than you. She made me better at my game. And then there's a TV show called Justified that I was on that is some of the best writing, best scripts. I mean, even when, that's one of those shows when I did 3 seasons on it, and I asked them, send me the scripts for the episodes I'm not in, just because I loved reading them, that the dialogue and the descriptions were so well done. So those, right now, those are the 3 that are tied.
Oh, lovely. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you. Okay, over here. Hello. I'm sorry, it's so short. What's your name? Right into the mic.
Hello, my name's Henry.
Hi, Henry.
Sorry, I've forgotten my question.
It's okay.
That's okay, Henry.
Take your time, man.
Do you want us to go to the other side of the room, then come back to you, Henry?
Yeah, we can always.
If you don't mind.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of
no
course.
worries.
Let's go over here, Henry. You take your time. Hello, my love. What's your name?
Hi there, I'm Felix. I was just wondering, because you've had such a range of roles you've had over the years, what one was the most fever dream to do?
Well, again, the ties for, if you're talking about fever dream, young adult, again, because I'm not only doing scenes with Charlize Theron, I have a love scene with her. So that's a fever dream in itself. And then the show, the Adult Swim show, The Heart She Holler, that was one of those shows where I would read the script and go, I don't know how we're going to shoot this. We have no budget. I don't know how they're going to pull this off. And even doing the scenes themselves, you felt like you were hallucinating sometimes. So those 2.
Brilliant, thank you.
That's a good question. What was the most not the
Fever
best,
dream.
most fever dream? That's a cool question.
When you emerged from that brick.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I love that. Oh, hang on.
Oh, are we going back? Oh, yes. Henry, what's your question?
I'm actually wanting to become an actor myself one day. I was wondering if you have any advice for me and other people who would like to become actors as well.
This is the best advice that I can give, and this is what other people told me, because I kind of fell into acting backwards. I was doing stand-up and then just started getting roles because people would see me. But one thing I really want you to remember, and try to get this into your head, show business is not this gigantic monolith. It's actually a pretty small world. If you start anywhere, do you live here in London, or where do you live?
Sorry.
Okay, so there are local theaters there. There are small theater groups. There are I know this is gonna sound weird, start acting. In other words, don't go, well, I wanna get into movies, I gotta wait till I'm cast in a movie. Find a local theater and just start. Everything is connected in show business. If you start somewhere, you don't know where it will lead you. But just start wherever you are and then let that take you where it will. But show business is not that big. It is not that hard to get into. But the only thing that's stopping you from doing it, it's not showbiz, it's that you haven't started. Go audition, start acting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good luck, Henry. Thank you.
Thanks, Henry.
Thank you. Let's go over here.
Hi.
Hello, what's your name?
I'm Ben.
Hi, Ben.
So I've just got a question. If you could return to any of your roles, what would it be?
Oh, like do another, go back to them?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I mean, I would love to do it if they brought Justified back. I really, really loved playing that character. I thought that it was just a really real character. I would also love, this is just me being kind of selfish, but there was a show that I worked on called The United States of Terra, and there was a whole third season mapped out on that. And getting to work with Toni Collette, another example of someone that just ups your skill level. And I would have loved to have seen where she went with her character and with that show. So those are two that I would definitely want to return to.
Good question.
Hang on, don't turn the light off yet. Look at the person standing behind you. When the light goes up on them, when we go to the next question, you are literally, look at how they're dressed. That is someone that needs to emerge from the darkness. Look at that. I cannot wait till we go back to your question, because you are dressed perfectly to emerge from inky blackness. So get ready, all right? Thanks so much, man.
Prepare to emerge.
Prepare to emerge.
Hello, my love. What's your name?
Hi, my name's Jess. Nice to meet you. I'm a really big fan of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So when
Jess, could you come closer?
Sorry, is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm a really big fan of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Thank you.
So when you were talking earlier about characters and stuff, I was wondering what it was like creating the Koenig brothers, especially when you returned in the final season.
Yeah, that was really weird. I had to do a thing. A lot of the scenes where I'm talking to myself, like you would film one half of the scene wearing an earpiece with your dialogue that you've recorded so you can respond to it, and they have a double there. And then you have to go back and repeat the same movement from the other side of the conversation, and also remember like your reactions to, like if Billy said something stupid and then the other guy's got to go, what? So there's a lot of that, like the technicality of it was amazing to me. And then, yeah, in the last season, we go back to my ancestor, back during the bootlegging times. I have no say in what Marvel does with their films, but I would love for them to incorporate Coulson, the Koenigs, Quake, a lot of those characters back into the movies somehow. That would be really interesting if they did that. So, yeah. Okay. Thank you. Here we go. Ready? Everyone look over here. No. Turn the light off again.
Turn the light off. You're gonna emerge, like, my lovely. Right,
Okay.
Step back a little bit. Everybody
stand back.
Sorry, I'm directing you now. Step back. Now, let's turn the light on slowly.
Here we go. Oh my God. Whoa! That was awesome. And they looked away and then kind of did this. Oh my God. There you go.
Big fan of your work.
Okay, go ahead.
What's your name? Right into the mic, please.
Hi, I'm Georgia.
Hi, Georgia.
Everybody loves you as Remy, but I love you as Happy.
Thank you. Oh my God. Okay, Happy. That was a fever dream. Let me amend my response earlier to Felix. That was a fever dream too, because it's the guy who directed the Crank movies, and based on Grant Morrison's writing, and I am this animated imaginary friend. God, I wish we got a third season of that. They had a whole third season mapped out. Oh, yeah. It was all going to be Halloween themed, and yeah, I know that is an ongoing tragedy for me. Thank you for liking that. I loved that show.
So my question for you is, I'm an aspiring voice actor.
Oh.
I was curious, since I didn't realize you were a comic book writer, but which character archetype do you find the most hard to play, as well as write?
Well,
and how do you get through it?
the hardest characters are always the one where you've really built an accent and an attitude from the ground up that is not yours. And so sometimes when I would do stuff like that and I would go back to record it, I had to listen to myself from earlier recordings to get the voice and the rhythm back into it a little bit. So that's always, and I've been very lucky in that a lot of the voiceover I've done, they've wanted my voice. Like, they're not asking me to do a character, but when I have done like characters, there's a thing I'm working on now where I'm doing a very exotic voice, and when I go in to do ADR for it, there's like, I get in 20 minutes early and listen to earlier recordings so I can fall back into the voice.
Thank you.
All right.
So
good luck.
These will be our last two questions. So anyone behind Scarlet Witch, please sit down. And then we've got this little one over here. Hello.
I wish we had time for more questions, but all these were good questions.
They
I
were
had these
great.
long answers. You guys are really smart. Sorry. Okay.
Hello, my love. What is your name?
Hi, I'm Anaya. I just had a question because you were in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and
Yes.
MODOK. If you had a choice to go to an voiceover in any of the Marvel movies or shows, which one would you choose and why?
I mean, technically, I did a voiceover in Eternals when I played Pip the Troll because I was wearing a motion suit, and so it was more of my voice. But if I were doing a voice,
Any of the Marvel?
Or you could act in. Or you could
Oh,
act.
act in it. Oh,
Okay,
my
great.
God.
So anything, any
Oh
role at all.
boy, yeah. Hang on. Let me
Well,
think.
that's a hard one.
I know, because there's a lot of really cool characters. It would be either really interesting to play one of my favorite villains, because he's so weird, is this guy named the Tatterdemalion, who is a guy that like destroys rich people's money, and he has this. It's such an odd choice. And also, listen, I'm not putting down the actor who played him, but I would love a shot at a live-action MODOK and do it the way that we did it in the animated show. Like, MODOK is basically Jack Kirby having a headache, and that's what I would play him as. So, also, if they did a biopic, I'd love to play Jack Kirby. Jack
that would be
Kirby
amazing.
rules. But I don't think I have the steel. Like, you need that kind of guy. But
Thank you. That's a great question.
thank you.
Thank you. Right, we got the
Last
Scarlet
one
Witch.
out of the dark. Whoa! The Scarlet Witch. Nice.
Hi, I'm Charlotte, and I'd say I love you in all your works as well. And I would say I'd like you in Marvel, and I was gonna say, because you have the comic coming out, would you be a character? But I'll say it's kind of an alternative question. I know you do stand up as well, and I know you primarily stay around America. Would you ever think of going to around other countries as well, to the UK, to Ireland?
Oh yeah, I did a gig here last Thursday at the Union Chapel, and I'll be back next year doing a bunch of gigs. I've been all over Europe, Copenhagen, Ireland, all those places. The audiences are. I did a 2-week run at the Soho Theater back in the early aughts. So doing stand-up over here is fantastic. And also, the scene right now, the comedians that are coming out of this scene are ridiculous. It's so good. It feels like the early 90s in America where everyone is just firing at this upper level. So I would absolutely come back here. I'll be back next year.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Before we end the panel, let's have a round of applause for the fan questions, please.
Those were great questions. Fever dream. What was the most fever dream? That's a great question.
That was a really
Wow,
good
man.
question.
Yeah.
Pan, I could have chatted to you all day long. It was an absolute pleasure.
I could have taken more questions. I'm sorry we didn't get to your
know.
other questions, guys.
But you're here till the end of today, right?
Huh?
You're here till the end of
I'm here to the end of the day. I'm signing. I'm signing over at the. I have a little thing where I'm signing stuff. If you want your MODOK and Remy stuff signed, but I'll also be over at the Minor Threats booth in Artist Alley. You can come by, get a comic book signed. We've got lots of trades over there. Meet the artists, meet the other writers.
Perfect. Now, we're going to do a stage selfie. Is that okay?
Stage selfie.
Stage selfie. You guys up for being in it? Yeah? And then we'll say goodbye? All right, let's do this.
Get that thing out.
The knees. Okay, let's take Leroy. Can we have a round of applause for Leroy, the DJ? All right, you guys ready? Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Leroy. 3, 2, 1. Get your hands up. Get your hands up. Cool. Thank you. Everybody, put those hands together for Patton